This then takes us to level 4, Impacts Lifescape Positive Gardening. And for this I relate to a personal story which is also available on film. Positive gardening is about putting ongoing support into invested viable enterprise. In other words, it's about compassion. It's the way we feel about other people and how we can help them. And this is based on following community creative collaboratives. Each of those collaboratives has got a lovely gardening metaphor. It's called SOAKS, SOAKES, and this is S, which is for synergy, where people come together and the total of the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. O is about it being organic. There are no false constraints that hold it back. It grows naturally to where it needs to go. It's authentic. Everybody knows what they're bringing. Everybody knows what they're taking away. It's about kindness. I mentioned compassion earlier on. It's about a whole mind shift in the way we work. Not the old paradigm of what's in it for me, but a new way of looking at things in how can we be of help. And S is for sustainability. It has to be sustainable if it's a community group or a business or a project. It has to be able to generate its own impetus to keep itself going, and it also has to be sustainable to the environment. We have to be kind to the environment. We can no longer afford to abuse it in the way it has been. In another story, I tell about my friend Alan, who had a stroke and for whom I am now a carer. And in getting together a hospital group about this, it's about learning how to raise funds for compassionate causes. And this is what the whole inspiration of the community collaboratives can do, because there isn't any funding to do that. Here's Alan, who is creating some things in the art and crafts group that we run for the Stroke Neurorehabilitation Hospital, where people are able to come along, meet regularly, socialise and rehabilitate by making wonderfully creative projects and selling them through tabletop sales like we can see here, in order to raise funds to ensure that the groups are able to continue. So how else can we make money in order to be able to keep ourselves going and our groups and the communities? I've been running some very successful workshops where people learn the technique of Pat's Garden for themselves and how to do it with others, with friends and family, through the training and the workshops. And again, that funding helps to generate an income and helps to maintain the community groups. Income generation through fundraising, Pat's Garden Lifescape workshops and therapeutic pathways in this example were at the Equinox Therapy Centre in Wolverhampton. The next section is about becoming a Pat's Garden cottage industry artisan, and this is originally springing from the idea of carers needing to make an income, generate an income, but being unable to go out to work for whatever reason, and generating an income from home. So by designing customized pieces of art and artifacts which are shown as metaphors within the garden, these are commissions and can be sold on, and all commissions are tithed to support the community groups as well. So the whole thing is very self-sustaining. Following the self-development pathways I mentioned earlier about the different therapies, but can also involve a number of eco projects which can be produced through the creative community collaborative concept. And here are some examples of growing, making natural products, making gifts that can be sold on through craft shows and tabletop sales. This is one example of that, the Nature Speaks range. These are a series of photographs that I've taken over the years, in which, if you look at them and let your imagination run away with you, you can see the figures of nature spirits appearing, each of which has got a message. These appear in our art cards, messages and jewellery, and each one comes along with a project to do which helps nature to help our planet. I mentioned earlier the inner child genre. When you do a garden, it's possible to see the wounded child that I mentioned earlier appear in the garden. And the inner child genre is a bespoke story, it's commissioned, and it's individualised to heal the experiences that the wounded inner child has had, and each of us have that wounded inner child inside us. So here are some examples of stories and accessories that go along with the stories along the way. Yeah, please get in touch and we'll tell you more about that. Also, Zen garden moments. These are always very popular. It's giving ourselves time out to reflect on the lifescape meanings. And if strawberries appear, this is always very interesting. There is a Zen garden story about strawberries, which is about making the most of the moment. So here's the card and the accessories, the jewellery that goes alongside that. Children's gardens are also important. Don't forget, all this came from a HET programme, which was about working with children and families. So there's a whole section here which is about using Pat's garden with children. And part of that features around a dear friend, beautiful tree I worked with called Willow. And you can see his character very much coming forward in that picture. How that has been adapted into a story and activities that you can work with children, which include things like making your own Willow puppet, and how that helps with emotional understanding with children, or for children, I should say. Now I have to mention Daisy at this point. She is my pet pig, and we made friends in an animal sanctuary that I set up in Somerset 10 years ago, and who lives in my back garden, has inspired many films and projects for children, and working with Het Pets. So all this is available within the children's garden within Het. There is the Pat's Garden Journal. This is a self-development program about keeping a journal, writing your own book, learning through nature in the life garden, and it helps to break through the illusions that get trapped in life situations, moods and feelings that hold us back along the way from becoming who we were always meant to be.